Tonight's presentation, although edited for YouTube, contains imagery and subject matter some may find disturbing. While our program is educational, we still feel that viewer discretion is advised.
So, we're talking about YouTubers that still need to stop, and maybe I'm showing off my hand a little bit too much here, but there has been this growing online trend that's been driving me up a wall where people are becoming pariahs, yet still somehow profiting off of being the actual worst. The fact that Boogie2988 is still getting his mortgage regularly paid by an online career after literally faking cancer is baffling and insane, and somehow he hasn't even made our list. To make things worse, the content farms are now using AI to steal content, essentially ruining YouTube Shorts with rampant freebooting. Legendary titans of our community have been exposed for being, say, less than ethical, and people are even dragging their families into online disputes in a rare form of cyberbullying that I have honestly never seen before. Today, we hope to show a wide spectrum of behavior, whether we're talking about creators that are abusing the platform and breaking the algorithm in ways that make searching and finding videos worse for all of us, to people who use their good reputation to essentially trick a mass audience or spread misinformation for seemingly no other reason than ego. Never before have I felt so embarrassed to call myself a YouTuber. Here we are, just seeing how bad things can get. But before we get into that...
Creepy. What's eating you, man? It looks like someone's got you down in the dumps.
These YouTubers got me so pissed off. I can't...
Yeah, you're pissed off. I've never seen you so steamed. It's like you're completely out of chill.
What are you talking about? Chill's full.
No, Creepy. I'm telling you this because I'm your friend. You have no chill. Here, let me give you some chill.
What is this? 5 CBD daily CBD gummies with actual THC? If only they had a new and unique packaging that wasn't so painful.
Oh, you mean like this one?
5 CBD is a fast-acting, good-tasting adult gummy that contains up to 15 milligrams of THC per bite. All of 5 products are federally legal per the 2018 Farm Bill, meaning that they can provide fast and discreet shipping to most states. Not only that, but 5's fast-acting solution kicks in roughly 10 minutes. We've personally had our fair share of gummies as I used to work at a cannabis store, but we can say that with 5, it's honestly a fantastic experience, as we got to test this both at home and at an anime convention, which helped us remain super chill while doing a unholy amount of walking. With infusions like Lemon Haze or Pineapple Express, you can get the traditional experience delivered right to your door. Our favorite is Blue Dream, which is our favorite strain, whether it be through 5 or not. If you're looking to have legal, discreet delivery for those over the age of 21, get 25% off of 5 quick hits with code CREEPY25. Again, that is code CREEPY25 at enjoy5.com, or use my unique link found pinned in the comments or the description below. Not only would you be helping the channel, but you'd be giving yourself a good time with 5. So with that out of the way, we invite you to sit back, relax, turn down the lights, and prepare to see some of the absolute worst YouTubers we've personally seen since starting this series. Roll the first entry.
Low Tier God, or as we're gonna call him, Dale, is someone who has appeared on our list before for bullying, doxing, DMCA abuse, and even racism. Dale even responded to his inclusion on the list, managing to do so with more grace than Plague Moth at least, though it still led to an amusing case of mistaken identity where Dale was shocked to learn that Creepy isn't a black man.
I don't know why I thought this dude was black.
This likely came as a disappointment for Dale, who is well known for his frequent racist tirades. As a side note, since this is the same stream that got LTG banned from YouTube, we don't have access to that footage. So if anyone does have the VOD of Dale making fun of Creepy's pig hands, we'd consider it a personal favor if it were shared. What's up, y'all? Editor from the future here, and I have an update. I found it.
So I'm looking at a guy with his fist looks like pig feet in a jar. It looks like pickled pig feet with the thumb sticking out. Him having a pickles pig feet for a hand. Pig feet hand, mother. You're single at a Christmas party with a fucking fist that looks like pickled pig feet.
Dale has always had a reputation for yapping without a filter on his streams. In addition to all the bad takes he fires from the hip, something Dale has always been very opinionated over are his views on sex and childbirth. Dale believes that it is his right as a man, after he knocks someone up, to dodge his obligations to the mother and child if he doesn't feel like being a father.
Let's just say if we smash and you get pregnant, there should be a new law that says if we don't collectively agree that we both want this child, then I should sign over my rights and legally you can't do anything. Like, that's how I feel like it should be. Like, I think it's lame as that you could smash a bitch for fun, right? And she says, I'm pregnant. You're like, all right, well, what are we in? Like, I'm not ready to be a father. And she's like, well, I'm ready to be a mother. Child support coming. Like, how the f does that make sense? Like, I literally smashed you for. Now I gotta suffer because because we just bang for recreational purpose. Men, most of us don't to procreate. So it's like, why is it a one-sided thing?
LTG, apparently not knowing what a condom is, proves that we need better sex ed in schools. Dale also has a lot to say about fatherhood, stating hypothetically that if he had a daughter, their relationship would end when she lost her virginity, and even that he would relegate his unwanted child to being a workhorse if it were up to him.
That's just what I think. I feel like forcing fatherhood on a man that wants no ties with you is cruel as to the child. Because what's gonna happen was I'm never gonna with you like that. I might pay for you and shit like that, but I'll never with you. I will never consider you one of my authentic children like that. And if I do, based off genetics, I might just use you as a workhorse. And I mean use you as a workhorse, meaning like, okay, I'm gonna be hella militant with you, but it won't be no real love there because you're a product of recreational sex. So I'd be like, all right, look, here's the best that's gonna happen. Your mom happens to be 5'7", I'm 6'5". Let's do something with it. What do you mean? What do I mean? Let's do something with it. You wanna be a basic in society, or you wanna really try to get this bag? That's honestly how I would talk to a kid that wasn't bred out of love. I'm gonna speak to you like a science project, because really that's all you actually are.
The reason we bring up these comments is because of an incident a few months back where a member of the LTG troll community impersonated Dale and managed to pull his credit report, which was then leaked. While we don't condone impersonation, the proverbial cat is out of the bag now, and these documents reveal one of Dale's best kept secrets. It turns out that LTG does in fact have a daughter, born in 2014, whom he does not even interact with. The credit report reveals that the mother, Rosalie, opened up a child support case against Dale in 2023, which another law firm had to step in and enforce judgment on, meaning that Dale was either unwilling or unable to pay up. Amusingly enough, both of the clips we played earlier were from around this period of time in 2023, between when the child support case was open and judgment was enforced. After all of Dale's comments calling other people broke, it's admittedly a little funny that he's in the middle of his own Jerry Springer type shit. You might be asking yourself why Rosalie picked 2023 to open the child support case, and it turns out that she actually looked up Dale's streams where she noticed all of his derogatory remarks towards women and daughters.
Honestly, I don't know the first time that I heard him talk or like say it on a video about like female daughters. It probably was a little bit of that for sure. And then just like how terrible he would speak about women. And I was like, I don't know. I felt like I needed to hold him accountable for like, and I'm thinking to myself, how can you excuse me, how can you say these things when you know what you know? It's just like,
Right.
I wanted him to be held accountable. Excuse me. And I felt like that was the best option at the time.
So essentially, Dale opening up his big mouth is why he got this dose of accountability in the first place. As a side note, that clip comes from Vault XIV's interview with Rosalie, which we highly recommend if you want to learn more. In conclusion, Dale is a deadbeat dad who tried to hide the fact that he has a daughter for self-serving reasons. He might have even gotten away with shirking his responsibility considering that Rosalie and his daughter were doing fine without him. But Dale will be Dale, and Dale spends too much time yapping about his backwards opinions on stream to keep a secret like that forever. Maybe it's for the best, considering LTG is the last thing that comes to mind when you think of a fit parent.
Elvis the Alien is a channel that pretty much just reviews films, many of which being either box office cringe or horror in pretty much all of its forms. In the past, Elvis also made videos on YouTubers and trends that he disliked, such as with Nikado Avocado and ASMR. However, the real reason why he's here today is in relation to his recently deleted series called People Ruin X, or People Ruin Everything. In this series, Elvis the Alien would look at communities for popular media like Fortnite, Adventure Time, The Incredibles, Toy Story, Minecraft, etc., and make fun of it. Sometimes, like with the Fortnite video, he just makes fun of PUBG players because Fortnite's popular now. Other times, like with the Adventure Time video, he accidentally flashes NSFW art between an underage character and an adult character to his audience.
So yeah, I'm gonna let you guys see the censored version for like 1 second here. Ready? Marceline and Ice King, you know, as you do. So creepy, so creepy. Oh, my little princess Marcy, I love you, it says. God, awful. This is awful. Oh, Simon. She's clutching onto her little stuffed animal here. This is so wrong. How old is Marceline? Apparently she's 1,000 years old, so.
During our research, this is probably one of the most egregious incidents of this happening. Even beyond this, Elvis would frequently use Shadman's art for his thumbnail and the commentary in the videos. For those that don't understand the context behind what Shadman is, he was an artist that often depicted underage, fictional, and even real people in lewd and sometimes unconsensual situations. The most well-known being the YouTuber Keemstar's actual kid. Shad was later arrested for attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon by the LAPD. While the whole attempted murder happened later in life and we can't really fault Elvis for that, he still reacted to NSFW images involving Violet Parr from The Incredibles. With this information in mind, I think it's important to point out what Elvis had to say about these videos, and the reason why he stopped making them. The first of which being money.
It's not very cut and dry, the reason why I stopped. So, one of the reasons is money. They didn't make money. They were either demonetized, age restricted, or like something in them got claimed. They were not easy to monetize, you know, obviously because of the adult content within them.
And that they're boring to make.
They were very repetitive. Making them sucked.
And that they were irresponsible.
That leads me to the next reason, which is they were extremely irresponsible videos. Some of them weren't age restricted, and I talked about some pretty disgusting stuff. I know I censored mostly everything. I did a pretty good job censoring stuff. Every once in a while something might slip through, but yeah, just the it's hard to make videos like that without harming someone out there, you know?
Despite knowing the problem with showing this kind of content to someone, say, looking up SpongeBob, Elvis simply removed the content from his main channel, and onto the side channel, People Ruin Everything.
But I was made aware that kids had seen them, and I was instantly disgusted by that. So I took them off the main channel, put them on their own channel, and age restricted them.
Yeah, despite what he said about moving them to a side channel and then age restricting them, he actually didn't age restrict them, as I noted on Twitter here. Keep in mind that this is one of those rare moments where, while I'm looking into a situation, things are changing right in front of my eyes. This screenshot taken by me while I was looking into this People Ruin Everything channel clearly shows that he did not have these videos age restricted like he claimed. Instead, he only retroactively age restricted them himself, and as of right now, the videos are simply removed. Whenever you upload a video on YouTube, you have the option to age restrict the video yourself. So if he just wanted to archive these videos and make sure that they were viewed by a questionable adult audience, then he could have age restricted it from the beginning. In fact, the only reason why you might not want to do that is if you wanted to make money, as age-restricted videos cannot get ads nor pushed in the algorithm. So when Elvis says,
So I took them off the main channel, put them on their own channel, and age restricted them.
yeah, he's lying and trying to cover his ass. Naturally, people on Twitter started to realize that things weren't quite clicking, so Elvis responded.
Why am I still getting hate? Okay, so this video is for the people from Twitter. If you aren't from Twitter, then this video might confuse you.
His main issue seems to be with a tweet that compared Elvis to Ava Chris Tyson, someone else who had connections with Shad, and while Ava bought and supported the artwork that he made, Elvis covered that art and used it in the branding for his series People Ruin Everything, even as Shad was drawing art of other real-life kids, all of which was well documented and condemned by many parties at the time. Elvis continued to profit off of Shad's borderline illegal work. Even after being made aware by his own admission, he simply moved the content on November 12, 2020. Basically, he tried to make as much money as possible while lying about his attempts to age restrict the content, only to start restricting it mid-2024 after the channel made over 130k subs, showing the videos that did not get limited by YouTube without restriction for 4 years. Then, in the wake of controversy, he deleted his Twitter and said that it's all cancel culture because it's impossible for anyone to think that Elvis is problematic or could have any connections to an attempted murderer that literally drew children. If Elvis was just honest from the beginning, admitted fault, we would likely be a bit kinder to the guy. However, if we take his word that he knew it was a problem back in 2020, we also have to accept that for 4 years, this guy monetized reactions to Shad-based content while understanding the exact context as why that would be a problem, only to call everybody who had an issue with that parasocial losers. I personally don't understand how some people can develop this ego that prevents them from ever admitting that they did anything wrong, especially in these clear and cut cases. Instead, Elvis feels that the better reaction to that would be to delete everything and pretend that he did nothing wrong while gaslighting his audience.
You're a pimp to underage girls and get them drunk just for them to create an OnlyFans? You're like a young Bill Cosby prodigy. You're a clown. Minors? Underage? Well, how old is he? He's 20? Ew. Is this dude trying on purpose to look like a little kid? You better stay away from those Minecraft YouTubers, buddy, or they're gonna make you wish you dressed your age. By the way, I didn't know this channel was like some reality show vlog thing. I thought it was just clips of Jack Doherty's bodyguards beating the shit out of people. Maybe his bodyguards are trying to break into acting and this is their humiliation ritual. To follow some little guy dressed like a rich baby around as he instigates fights that they have to finish. Is it better than having to jack off an old man who runs the studio? Ask Jack Doherty. And post.
Quite possibly one of the most hated online creators, Jack Doherty has amassed over 15 million subscribers on YouTube and is most well known for his live streams on Kick, where he harasses people in public and generally makes a nuisance of himself. He's also infamous for frequenting parties hosted by controversial figures like FouseyTube and the Island Boys, where he also streams himself instigating fights and hiding behind hired bodyguards whenever things get too hot. Most well known of Doherty's hired goons is the former heavyweight boxer Justin Ghostly, who also goes by Kang Kong. Corny aliases aside, Ghostly and others were essentially paid to be Doherty's personal bodyguards, using intimidation to shield Doherty when the pranks weren't well received. Ghostly especially came to be well known after an incident at David Dobrik's 2023 Halloween party where the bodyguard punched another partygoer in the face. After seeing the now viral clip for ourselves, what Ghostly did was completely uncalled for, with the altercation seemingly orchestrated by Doherty as usual. Unfortunately for Jack Doherty, the man his bodyguard punched was actually a lawyer named Chase Gardella, who is still in an ongoing lawsuit with Doherty for assault, battery, and hiring negligence. Considering that Ghostly has a history of legal trouble with assault from his days of working as a security guard for rapper DaBaby, such as that time when he pummeled on the show's opening act for no reason, and another incident referenced by Gardella's legal team where Ghostly knocked out a woman, let's just say the hiring negligence argument definitely seems to hold water. More recently, Jack Doherty also found himself embroiled in a controversy in the fall of 2024 when his reckless driving led him to crashing and totaling a $200,000 McLaren luxury car. Despite wet road conditions and heavy fog, Jack Doherty streamed himself with the help of his friend Michael, speeding and even using his phone behind the wheel of the sports car. After crashing into the guardrail on the side of the highway, Doherty had to be assisted out of the window by a group of bystanders, who he asked to hold the camera. Never one to let a viral moment pass him by, Doherty then hands the phone off to Michael, who had been clutching his arm and bleeding from his head at the time. Instead of being concerned for his friend, who needed stitches after being injured by an accident he had caused, Doherty then has Michael record his reaction to the McLaren being totaled. Of course, after flipping his brand new Can-Am with his first minute behind the wheel and that time he crashed a golf cart, maybe Jack Doherty ought to just stay far away from anything with a gas pedal. Adding insult to injury, Doherty would also promote a cryptocurrency meme coin called McLaren to commemorate the incident, which turned out to be a classic rug pull. When he isn't stacking that bread by taking advantage of his viewers with crypto scams, Doherty instead makes his money by taking advantage of young women whom he grooms as minors to coerce into exploitative OnlyFans deals. In this video, Jack Doherty Must Be Stopped, some of Doherty's closest collaborators and former roommates, the Ireland Boys, expose the fact that most of his money comes from OnlyFans, and that his content is intentionally designed to push his younger audience towards engaging with the site. What they are referring to is Doherty's OnlyFans agency, where he collaborates with and promotes the young women who sign up with him in exchange for a hefty cut of their income. Even worse, Doherty would be accused by the streamer Neon of approaching these young women as minors to sign them into contracts while they are under the influence.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what you do. You get 17-year-old girls the night before their birthday. You buy a $10,000 yacht every time. You get them drunk and they sign a contract, 50% of their life every single time. F you.
The accusation has also been backed up by this tweet from Natalie Reynolds, who references a post made by one of the young women signed to Jack's agency. This is not only scummy and exploitative behavior, but also textbook grooming being perpetrated on the young women he signs into contracts, as well as Doherty's young audience, who he intentionally pushes towards consuming OnlyFans content.
The Amazing Digital Circus is an anomaly in animation. Not only is it a good show with strong horror undertones, but it's one of the most widely successful animated properties not to be owned by a large corporation. I even had the opportunity to briefly meet the owners of Glitch Productions and Gooseworks, all of which were very pleasant and talented people. Whether you personally like the show or not, it's undeniable that it takes passion, understanding, love, and care to make a piece of media that resonates with so many different kinds of people. These are people who have to fund and pay for everything without the safety net of being a multi-billion-dollar organization, which is why these children content farms are such a problem. Not only are they more specifically targeted at young children, but depressingly, they also vampire off the property and flood the market with these knockoffs, an entire underground industry popping up overnight to take advantage of the success that the Amazing Digital Circus happened to enjoy.
What is this new
Hey,
place?
Popney, welcome to the school! On this place it's very important to have a good behavior, otherwise the professor could be mad!
Okay, stop talking!
Holy crap!
We got two new idiots, students!
Okay, yeah, he literally just called us idiots!
First impressions are everything!
Go ahead, sit down.
Okay, we're gonna sit down, holy crap, wait, yo, Pomni! Wait, Jax? No, Ragatha Bubble, Zubul, Kinger, and... Wait, is that Gangle?
Yeah, how is he crying during first period?
I don't know, dude. Are you okay?
Consuming just a little bit of Digital Circus content on YouTube could put you in a pipeline for this, and considering the number of older kids and teens that regularly enjoy this series, this is a problem. Channels like Horn Stop FNF 3D produce episodes at an unexpected rate with strange and creepy thumbnails while managing like 10 different channels. Then you have Andreas Eskander, I'm hoping I pronounced that right, a channel with over 11 million subscribers that makes children's horror in the same vein as Getting Called at 3 a.m. by Mickey Mouse. In recent, they had been leeching off a Squid Game, but in the past we got amazing hits like Pregnant Charlie from Hazbin Hotel, Tanning Pomni, Inside Out at the Pool, a metric ton of Poppy's Playtime, and of course, the GOAT, the classic, arresting Pomni in real life while giving birth.
The last few minute things, you guys have to fill out some paperwork, so please go with my assistant, Kaufman.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Paperwork? Bro, what is going on?
I don't know, but the last thing I'd want is go with him. Look at him.
Real talk, this starts to feel incredibly gross when you consider that the style of editing and over-the-top presentation are the exact same tactics that channels like, say, Mr. Beast use to maintain the attention span of younger audience members. The main difference here is that Andreas Eskander wants to push this weirdly sexual, low-effort content into these algorithms where the end result is that adults just kind of move on, but those who don't really understand what is good and what is not kind of stay behind. Studies have found that many kids don't typically click off of a video, instead letting the autoplay take them from one video to the next. In other words, kids, many of which are likely just starting puberty, are getting funneled into these gooner slot mills, leading to insane views and over 11 million subscribers. In most instances, I would argue that all that needs to be done is a shift in content. But honestly, I'd be in favor of deleting this guy entirely. He's a thief, a vampire, and basically wants to feed your kids sexualized slop, to which all I can say is fuck that.
Karl Jobst is a devastating reminder that just because someone can speak well and has a track record of being a genuinely upstanding member of the community, that they are not immune to abusing that trust for personal gain. It leads us to an uncomfortable truth that not only can good people make mistakes, but bad people can make a good video every now and again. Case in point, Karl Jobst and his crusade against one disgraced video gamer.
Mr. Jobst clearly intended to be the knight who slew the Mitchell dragon. Unfortunately for him, his lance was not as strong as he believed it to be, and it has broken in the contest.
Outside of the completionists, which we covered in Dangerously Stupid YouTubers, Karl also made a large number of highly viewed videos on Billy Mitchell. In these videos, Karl focused on how Billy is overly litigious and a cheater. In one example, Billy went after Cartoon Network over a parody by Regular Show. In this parody, Gary Bobby Ferguson, a floating head that bears more than a few similarities to Billy, cheats at a retro game and then battles the show's protagonist for the high score. Billy objected to being portrayed as a villainous cheater, to which the judge responded, quote, "GBF appears to be a non-human creature, a giant floating head with no body from outer space, while the plaintiff is a human being. And when GBF loses his title, the character literally explodes, unlike the plaintiff." Billy would go on to sue several other entities, including the YouTuber Apollo Legend and Twin Galaxies, a high score-keeping forum, over the removal of his records online due to allegations that he was cheating. Unfortunately for Billy, it is now common knowledge that at least for some of these records, Billy used an emulator known as the Multi-Arcade Machine Emulator, or simply MAME, and improper hardware that could have given him an advantage and is a lot harder to verify its legitimacy. Billy intentionally tried to obfuscate the fact which made Karl appear to be in the right when he first announced the lawsuit. The only problem? The lawsuit had nothing to do with Billy cheating or being a liar. In fact, the lawsuit the entire time had been about one very insidious assertion, that Billy was in fact responsible for Apollo Legend no longer being with us.
What about Karl Jobst? Why are you suing him?
Karl Jobst has nothing to do with video games. He's being sued because he's blaming the death of an individual, Apollo Legend, on me.
You're suing him for defamation for making that blame?
Has nothing to do with video games.
Has that case resolved?
No.
Has the Apollo Legend matter resolved?
Very favorably, yes.
For you?
No, for all of us.
Because he died?
No. Stupid question.
It's very much a boy who cried wolf situation. Billy had engaged in so many dismissed or settled lawsuits that it looked like another instance of him being upset over the accusations. Sometimes there is a wolf. A broken clock which is right twice a day, and Karl acted remorselessly without any regard for the truth or basic human empathy. In a 2021 video titled "The Biggest Con Men in Video Games Strike Again," Karl asserts that as a part of Apollo Legends' lawsuit, Apollo was forced to pay Billy Mitchell, which contributed to Apollo's mental decline. According to Jobst's lawsuit, Billy informed Jobst that there was no money exchange between him and Apollo. Karl edited the video to remove some of the inflammatory language. Billy sends Karl a cease and desist, and out of spite, Karl republished the video with the offending material and refused to remove it until Apollo Legends' brother confirmed that Billy had nothing to do with his passing and that no money was exchanged. Apollo Legend made a goodbye video which outlines his reasons for doing what he unfortunately did. Yet Karl continued to throw his death onto Billy Mitchell's hands until Apollo's family got involved. Many of you may not have known that because the only time Karl brings up the context is in the fine text of the GoFundMe and when he shows Billy explaining why he's suing. Although one has to note that if you call someone a delusional liar who only sues people over cheating, you're less likely to take their stated reason as fact, especially when the point of almost all these videos focused on Billy's cheating and frivolous lawsuits. Now that the attention is on Karl, it's unfortunate that he's still denying any real wrongdoing or accountability. He called Billy essentially a murderer, something that with a simple YouTube search he could have and should have debunked on his own. Instead, he made the claim, retracted it, and then republished the accusation seemingly out of spite. In the aftermath, Karl asked his fans for money via GoFundMe, with many under the impression that this was to defend his right to investigate Billy's cheating. Karl tried to argue that he deserved some leniency because he retracted what he said. However, as the judge noted in his ending opinion, this was put into a non-Billy Mitchell related video and placed basically at the last 45 seconds. In other words, hiding it from the people that needed to see it. The big takeaway here is this: no matter how right you think you are, basic human respect, even for those you even perceive to be your enemies, will help you present the truth and even put you in a stronger position in the long run. Who knew?
To quickly explain, Timmy 2 Cents is a commentary side channel owned by the YouTuber Goat. Goat is a personality probably best known for the video The Wiggle That Killed Tarkov, which, to be fair, is a genuinely well-researched video that brought awareness to the cheating problem in Escape from Tarkov. Most of his content, in fact, is mostly unproblematic. Even when he's using ESP cheats in this game, it's not done to game the system, it's simply done to expose the cheaters without disrupting normal players, which you can see if you watch the video. What earns him a spot on our list, however, is the video uploaded to Timmy 2 Cents channel titled "Sue, My Son Shot Up Columbine Klebold." In this awful video. He criticizes the mother of one of the Columbine shooters, Sue Klebold, for her book and TED appearance, where she advocates knowing the unknowable, or rather trying to understand the thoughts and feelings of those close to us in order to be aware of unseen mental health crises. In Timmy 2 Cents' video, he accuses Sue Klebold of being a terrible mother and narcissist, attempting to paint herself as a victim by pinning the blame for her son's actions elsewhere. He also makes the claim that Sue Klebold is avoiding responsibility and that most parents would have known that something was wrong. The video also bafflingly includes a lengthy and honestly unnecessary breakdown of who was injured and in what order, including the pictures of the victims, which low-key seems pretty manipulative in hindsight. In our opinion, this video isn't just bad or badly researched, but rather highly deceptive with its editing. For one, Timmy 2 Cents alleges that Sue Klebold isn't taking accountability when one of the first things she admits in her TED segment is that she's convinced that she has failed as a parent. Another point is that he keeps bringing up the journals, plans, and web pages kept by the shooters to push this narrative that Sue Klebold should have known that something was wrong. However, this is evidence that Sue wouldn't even find out about until months after the massacre, which, by leaving out this context and editing around these quotes, could be described as nothing but deceptive. The YouTuber Morby has gone through Timmy 2 Cents' video and does a much better job than we can, pointing out where quotes are misattributed or where deceptive editing tricks were used. One of the examples that Morby identifies is the foreword to Sue's book, which was written by Andrew Sullivan, but in Timmy 2 Cents' video is falsely attributed to Sue. The thing that really got my blood boiling in a way that I never thought I could feel before was when Timmy 2 Cent remarked that Sue worked at a psychiatric hospital, presenting her as some sort of authority on mental health who should have been able to see the symptoms within her own son, while neglecting to mention that her role at this psychiatric hospital was as a therapeutic art teacher, which I don't think requires a degree in psychiatry in order to do. Perhaps the most enlightening is the context Morby gives to the role of Randy and Judy Brown, a couple who had reported the would-be shooters in 1998. A large part of Timmy 2 Cents' narrative is that the Browns picked up on the red flags that the Klebolds didn't, and even goes as far as to claim that Randy Brown is, and I quote, one of the first people in the world to spot and accurately threat assess a modern school shooter in advance.
One of the reasons I was so frustrated with TED is they repeatedly denied Randy Brown's request to do a talk on how to prevent school shootings. Randy was one of the first people in the world to spot and accurately threat assess a modern school shooter in advance.
And if you only saw his video, you might be surprised then to hear that Judy Brown doesn't actually blame Sue Klebold.
We talk quite openly about it. She has nothing to hide. In the first place, a lot of those things didn't take place in the Klebold house that I am aware of and that she is aware of. Sue wants the answers too. I'm asking kids, I'm trying to find out any clue we can get. This part of Dylan's personality, I'm not getting anything, and we want the answers. Sue was not aware of this behavior in her child. I wouldn't be defending Sue, believe me. You have to remember that Dylan that day meant to kill both my children. I had a child in the cafeteria and Dylan knew he was in the cafeteria. I would not be defending this mom if I thought that she knew, even though she was a good friend. This mom did not know, and this was a good, nurturing mom.
And that Randy Brown also didn't know Eric was as dangerous as he turned out to be.
Judy had that with these kids. She knew Eric was dangerous. Right. I didn't know that Eric was as dangerous as he turned out to be. Oh my gosh.
Things didn't really end here either between Morby and Timmy 2 Cents, as they would engage in an unmoderated Discord debate that went about as well as unmoderated Discord debates go. In summary, Timmy 2 Cents plays oddly dumb at points, claiming to suddenly not know what's being talked about rather than being pinned down on falsely attributed quotes in his video. Goat, or Timmy 2 Cents, also accuses Morby of not having read Sue Klebold's book in a flimsy attempt to discredit his detractor. Timmy 2 Cents also posted this response video one day after the debate where he clearly and obviously misrepresents Morby's video and opinions. For instance, remember those clips of Randy and Judy Brown? Timmy 2 Cents points to the Morby's inclusion of the Judy clip in the video, claiming that Morby got the wrong person, and that Randy Brown is actually the authority on Columbine, even though the Randy Brown clip is also played almost right after right in Morby's video, but this is just ignored for convenience. Timmy 2 Cents also says that he never claimed that Sue Klebold knew about the shooter's journals or websites, but that's misleading, because here he is saying that that could have easily been found, and that the evidence was even screaming to be found.
The facts surrounding Columbine say otherwise. Dylan and Eric kept numerous journals, videos, weapons, and notes planning their attack that were waiting to be found. I would argue they were screaming to be found.
Finally, to add insult to injury, he ends the video on this weirdly condescending high horse, saying, "I don't think you'll survive long enough on here if you're going to go this far out of your way to make someone look bad."
And I used my popularity at the time to heal wounds. I'm going to be fine. I'm confident that I have never and will never deceive people intentionally. And I have proven multiple times that I know how to make good content. I don't think you'll survive long on here if you're going to go this far out of your way to make someone look bad.
This talk about going out of your way to make someone look bad is literally coming from the guy that got 4.6 million views trying to relitigate Columbine to make Sue Klebold look worse than she did. This is such a tactless response, and yet another example of a creator whose ego has blinded them so much that they can't even admit fault when there are objective problems with their video. One of the most frustrating parts about all of this, and something that we need to keep in mind moving forward, is that Timmy 2 Cents video with the convincing deception sits at 10 times the view count as Morby's refutation, making it more likely that a high number of people have been tricked into accepting a false narrative without having the record set straight for them.
In this world, very few things stay the same. Among them are death, taxes, and the Paul brothers appearing on our worst YouTubers list. This time around, it's the older, animal-abusing one. You know, the one with the dumb hat. This time around, Logan Paul makes our list for his defamation lawsuit against CoffeeZilla, which seems to be a clear abuse of the legal system to financially pressure CoffeeZilla into silence with mounting legal fees. The reason Paul is so interested in shutting him up now seems to be related to CoffeeZilla's investigation of another one of Paul's ongoing fraudulent cryptocurrency projects. This all began with CryptoZoo, a failed cryptocurrency game announced by Logan Paul where you could purchase eggs with Zoo tokens or Ethereum, which would then hatch into NFT hybrid creatures. Paul essentially described the project as, quote, a really fun game that makes you money. However, after selling millions of dollars of NFTs, Paul went silent and CryptoZoo was seemingly abandoned before it ever became playable. In 2022, CoffeeZilla would investigate CryptoZoo and release a series of videos exposing the project as a scam, eventually leaving Paul with no recourse other than to apologize to CoffeeZilla and his audience. Paul also offered to buy back the NFTs for a limited time in exchange for those receiving funds to waive their rights to legal claims. However, even those who received refunds still lost out financially since the value of Ethereum had depreciated since the launch of CryptoZoo. Fast forward to 2024, and Logan Paul is now the co-founder of a new project called Liquid Marketplace, which offers the opportunity to co-own exclusive collectibles or some other pseudo-investment bullshit. Liquid Marketplace is based in Toronto, Canada, and was described by the Ontario Securities Commission as a, quote, multi-layered fraud in the crypto assets sector. CoffeeZilla would go on to post a teaser for a video covering his investigation of Liquid Marketplace, and, upon asking Logan Paul for comment, suddenly had the lawsuit sprung onto him, along with explicit threats from Paul's legal team to not cover the project.
Did you know, 6 days before the lawsuit, I had featured Logan Paul in a teaser for a video? Did you know 21 hours before the lawsuit, I had texted Logan for comment? Did you know I told him he had 24 hours to respond, and Logan sued me 3 hours before the deadline? Yep, that's right. Logan's lawyers then threatened me in that lawsuit email. that if I report on this new story, Logan might hold me accountable. And Logan's definition of accountability seems to mean he'll sue me, which is why I believe this lawsuit was not designed to win, but to shut me up, to threaten me, using Logan's wealth and a federal court system without anti-slap to send a message. Do not tell that story.
One thing that makes this lawsuit so scummy is the way that Paul strategically filed his lawsuit in federal court in the United States District Court for the Western District of Texas, sneakily ensuring that the anti-SLAPP laws of CoffeeZilla's home state wouldn't be applicable to the case. SLAPP, with 2 P's, stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation, which describes lawsuits filed to stop people from exercising their First Amendment rights and intimidate them into silence with legal fees. Anti-SLAPP laws are basically there to protect free speech from being threatened by rich corporations with the resources to engage in protracted legal battles which could bankrupt your average person. In fact, claiming that your reputation has been damaged like Logan Paul did in his case is textbook SLAPP lawsuit behavior. It makes sense that CoffeeZilla's investigation should have Logan Paul sweating. Fraudsters rely on people not already being wise to their con, and CoffeeZilla's coverage of Liquid Market would result in just that. As a result, we now have two-faced Logan Paul apologizing to CoffeeZilla on one cheek while threatening him with legal action on the other, trying to throw his financial weight around to make sure word doesn't get out and ensure that he gets to keep taking advantage of his viewers.
The YouTube channel A Curse Farms, ran by a quirky man by the name of Ross, is someone who I never thought we'd talk about on his channel, unless if we did that mythical best YouTubers list. The dude has been around forever, being unabashedly himself and putting the U in YouTube.
I was there looking kind of like Jesus, wearing a white and happy Wallace and Gromit shirt, and Dave was there in his Slayer t-shirt, black hair, covered in tattoos, but we were both being super friendly to people. The idea was one of us would take ownership of the soul, and the other person would sign and witness the contract. Then we would switch off. Dave said he used to work for a notary office, so that made these valid.
For the past decade, Ross has been making YouTube videos covering old and dying games, often working himself ragged just so he could get a snapshot of a game before its untimely demise.
In 2013, 4 years after the game was released, Electronic Arts decided enough was enough and pulled the plug on Battleforge, and it has been stone cold dead ever since. If you've watched my videos, you know I've complained about games that depend on a central server before. This is why. Battleforge is the poster child of what awaits every game with an online-only requirement. Now you might be wondering, wait a minute, Ross. If this game is dead, how did you make this video? Well, I figured this topic was so important, I needed to fire up the old time machine for this one. Now, the obvious question is, well, why don't you just use the time machine when you want to play old games? Listen, I don't like using this thing. It trips the circuit breaker, it causes nosebleeds, headaches. If I change too many things, I can't come back. This is not a solution, all right?
After Ubisoft announced that The Crew would be getting shut down with no way to access the game's single-player content, going as far as forcibly removing the game's files from consumer computers, Ross saw a golden opportunity. To be clear, this was a game that had extensive single-player content and recreates a good chunk of the continental United States in its single-player map, the culmination of tens or even hundreds of thousands of hours in human labor that in no way needed to be tied to a central server. Considering Ubisoft is in the EU with stronger consumer protection, Ross took the opportunity to try to do something about this. And that's how the Stop Killing Games initiative got started, a collective campaign that hopes to save the future of games from meeting the same fate as A Crew, as so many other games are essentially becoming lost media. In too many ways to count, Ross has inspired me to care about this hobby that I have spent my entire life engaging with and following. So, given what I've said about Ross, a goofy guy who just talks about video games and how to preserve them, what do you think Pirate Software, a self-described consumer advocate and massive voice in the gaming community via his live streams and YouTube channel, has said about the guy?
So this was my first encounter of him.
Oh shit, now this is actually really dumb. It's used car salesman garbage. This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to.
And he does not wish to discuss this with me or anyone else in the initiative. Why not?
Would you consider reaching out and talking to Ross about it? No. And the reason why is because I found his entire statement over the YouTube incredibly disingenuous.
Yes, this issue which has bothered me since I was a teenager and I've spent 10 years on trying to push back against is me being disingenuous. Where is this coming from? Well, it comes from a slide I had in my promotional video, the half-joke slide. He hated this, and I think he may have a rather privileged view of politics.
You want to put together legislation because it's the right thing to do.
We did!
Not because you can convince legal representatives to do it no matter what.
It's both! These are not mutually exclusive things!
This is where we get into the subject of this list. Pirate Software, also known as Thor, once presented himself as a positive figure in the community, using his platform to promote game development and charity. His YouTube shorts took over the algorithm, and if that was it, we wouldn't really have a problem. However, Thor turned into one of the worst examples of being eaten alive via ego I have ever seen. It started with Pirate Software's videos on Stop Killing Games, where he openly misunderstands the movement, but beyond that, his misunderstanding runs so deep that he used his massive platform to promote complete falsehoods that are directly refuted on the screen.
But he also seems to think this is about converting multiplayer games to single player. Once again, he made that up, and I have no idea why he thought that.
Transitioning an entire multiplayer server-side game into a single-player video game, which means rebalancing the entire experience around single player, rebuilding everything in the entire game. How are you going to do that with Final Fantasy XIV? You're just going to make all the raids soloable? Imagine the day that World of Warcraft shuts down, and suddenly you have to make it a single-player game for every individual that ever bought the game. That's what they're asking for.
No!
Because they would have to sunset live service games as a single-player experience. The idea that suddenly you need to make every single live service game playable single-player offline? No, dude.
Correct. No.
If this guy took even 1 second to try to, in good faith, understand the website he was reading, the guy wouldn't have said half the shit he did. If it was simply an opinion, no one would care. But he is factually misrepresenting the movement to a massive audience. And despite Ross and another YouTuber who I respect, Josh Drive Hayes' best attempt to communicate with Thor, he still refuses to clear up the misinformation he put forward. The situation genuinely looked bleak for a while, as it looked like the end of the movement. We had about 1 month to accumulate 500,000 signatures, and using his massive voice, Pirate Software managed to kill all the momentum that Stop Killing Games had made. Ross made a statement video stating that he tried his best, but he doesn't have much hopes for the future. And in response to this video, the community collectively worked together and essentially reversed all the damage done by pointing out how stupid Pirate Software was being. I can't emphasize this enough. While the backlash against Thor was massive, most of it could have been avoided. However, as this was going on time and time again, Thor would go out of his way to disparage Ross and the Stop Killing Games movement, even attempting to paint himself as a victim by, for some reason, lying about the third-party off-brand games a company he worked with getting review bombed, and making snide remarks like, "I hope you get everything you asked for, but nothing you wanted." That's when people started to dig into his history. Apparently, everyone has issues with this guy, rather it's his former co-workers at Blizzard.
So this was, the assumption was, oh, okay, they're siblings, she can kind of tune.
Yes. And he'll be less of a problem because we're related and I could go tell daddy.
That's really funny. With him,
yes.
So with this, him being a problem, now was that unique to Pirate, or is that just to speak to every new person coming into the company?
That was speaking to him, and it was not that he was an HR violation problem. Don't get me wrong. He's very charismatic. He is easy to get along with socially. However, he was very neglectful of actual work. He was hard to rein in. He was hard to get to focus on anything important. Like, he wanted to do what he wanted to do.
For, let's say, for instance, the Diablo 3 testing. So what was the important stuff that he needed to take care of? And then what was he doing alternatively?
So I was also the person who wrote all of the test cases. He was on the monsters team with me. So we're talking dealing with all the spawns in the game, all of the boss testing, having to do all the smoke tests whenever there were new builds, that just end to end, making make a character run through to Skeleton King kill. Like, that's just testing the builds. Whatever the task was for the day, it could just be spawning different monsters and testing their affixes to see how they perform. That easy. But he would just kind of create a character and idle in the client and then read Reddit. That's literally what he did. He sat in front of me and I was assigning the tasks. So not only did I see the work he was not doing, I saw what he was doing instead the entire time.
The EVE Online community, who accused him of stolen valor.
The narrative of this video that I'm trying to fight against is a couple things. This is many people's first view of EVE Online, okay? It is a subjective view and a very bitter view of what actually happened. I have nothing but positive interactions with the EVE devs. You don't have to fight the EVE devs. You don't have to view the world as something that is owed to you, and then if it doesn't bow before you, everything is terrible. That's how this video reads and plays, and I hope that we understand something bigger here. There were some questions in chat about why does it matter who did what, and why does it matter how the stuff was said. It matters because EVE is about the stories. EVE is about the players. EVE is about the people that make up this game and the stories that will make it great. And if someone is perpetuating a lie about their importance on things, that matters because you've taken away the onus of the players that were actually there, saying, our alliance reported this bug and nobody fixed it. And then when new players came in and then they fixed it, it wasn't just them reporting the bug. There was 2 other alliances reporting the same exploit bug, whatever you want to call it. It's not just about this person. It's about everybody. It's about the collective. And that's something I think Pirate Software can learn from.
And even people who played and backed his own personal project, Heartbound, which had been in development for the better part of a decade now.
Pirate Software uploaded this video titled Current Battle System 7 years ago. The problem is including the word current, which implies that there will be further updates to the combat system. And the combat system, as far as I could tell, is exactly the same. And having a battle system in the first place kind of implies that the entire system will be used in multiple fights. But it's not like this matters anyway, because this is the one fight you will engage in the entire game. It's less of a combat system and more of a one-off mini game. Oh wait, no, actually there is a boss fight. But calling it a boss fight is like saying I'm having fun with Heartbound. It's just not true.
I recommend people actually download these VODs before he takes them down, because honestly, if I was claiming I'm a game developer with 20 years of experience, this would be embarrassing to have online.
For a long time, Pirate Software was seen as a knowledgeable person who made shorts educating people with a pro-consumer twist. It turns out, the foundation this guy built his entire reputation on was all lies. Everything he based his authority on is entirely in question, and as days go on, more and more people come forward showing damning evidence that Thor basically steals the stories of others, takes credit, and over-embellishes the outcome. I'm not saying that lying and overstating your involvement with things is acceptable. However, if Pirate Software just admitted that he actually got some objective facts wrong with Stop Killing Games, apologized for that, then moved on, I don't think most of this stuff would have come out. Instead, the weight of this dude's history all came out at once, because instead of being humble and apologizing, he keeps beefing and playing victim and lying about the extent of backlash he's even getting just to justify being an asshole online. The damage that he could have done to basic consumer rights was only avoided due to us as a community shouting back, combating misinformation through video after video after video to the point where it flooded literally everybody's inbox and became almost just as annoying. If you ask me, I just don't think that Pirate Software is respectable. And knowing that the education aspect of his content is basically bullshit, what's even left to enjoy? I'm just gonna go rewatch some Ross's Game Dungeon. The future looks hopeful. Thank you, Ross. Before you guys click off the video, I would just like to give a nice, heartfelt thanks to everyone who's been waiting patiently, supporting the channel, the Patreon people who's been keeping me afloat. As you know, my family hasn't really been doing so well ever since my mom got diagnosed with cancer, and it's only been getting worse, which is why the video had been delayed so long. Naturally, when you know someone isn't really long for this world, it's important to take every opportunity you can to call them, spend time with them, and make every moment count. And I just appreciate you guys giving me that opportunity. So without further ado, let's thank the people that make these videos possible. At our $50 Rev Chainsaw tier, we got Deadman Joe. At our $20 Hungry Scythe tier, we got Eddie Toxpin, The Bleach Pyramid, and Jamie. Followed very closely by our Rusty Razor tier with Def Sonic. Then we got a whole heck of a lot of $10 silver hatchets, starting with Jordan Ogle, Knee, Ronin the Reckless, Temperator, or Tempe, username 159, and my homeboy, Pyretica, who actually has been in the Discord quite a bit, being a pretty awesome bro. Recently, he's been doing a bit of artwork. In case you're interested in supporting, we treat the Patreon like a tip jar. Any donation gives you unlimited access to any song that we have created for the channel in the past or future. If you stop donating, you don't lose that benefit. And we also have a Patreon exclusive Discord, which is, again, you donate any amount of money, you have a lifetime pass as long as you don't break any rules. And we're hoping to do events and fun stuff like that here in the future. I really love the community that we have going there, and honestly, the support that I've been given, even through the lack of uploads, is honestly amazing to me. You guys are awesome. You guys are the reason why I do what I do, and even when I get into my depressive episodes and struggle to be online, I'm happy to know that you guys are sitting there waiting for me to come back. So with that said, I hope you guys have a beautiful life, and I hope to see you in the next one. Disturbing Animations, let's go.